Hi everybody, Mary Mitchell here. So I began this journey on creating some 3D art and trying different methods. Now this one is a canvas board. It's canvas over board. I bought a small piece of wire mesh from Amazon. Make sure that you use gloves if you're going to manipulate this onto the board, because it has a tendency to stick, your fingers, and it hurts. Once I had it into place, which I really didn't give too much thought, a little bit, I found these sheets online that come with the plaster already on them. And I used some water mixed with some acrylic medium, and I began to dip them into that mixture, and it was really a mess. It made them basically impossible to work with, very mushy, very flimsy. And then I got this idea to, instead of immersing them in the mixture, was to just lay them over the mesh dry, spray them with the water, dip my brush into a water acrylic medium mixture, and then apply it that way, and wet it really good, brush it really well, and it turned out really well. So if you do want to go this route, just bear that in mind. They're a lot easier to work with when you apply them over the mesh dry and then wet them. Now in this, what you're seeing me do here is I took some spackle mixed with some modeling paste. I'm using a brush here, and it's a little bit of a damp brush. I'm making it damp here and there, not too much though. Tapping it dry a little bit because I don't want it to get into my modeling paste, and I'm applying it over the entire piece. I want to get those that very kind of see-through fabric covered, and this is going to take a few coats. So you'll see me doing this, and you'll see me just going over the whole thing, smoothing it down, not really too worried about, just wanting to get a thin coat. I don't want to apply. Modeling paste is it's heavy. Now they do make a soft modeling paste, but it's harder to sand. And so I decided to go with the heavier modeling paste instead. And with the spackle that I got actually in Home Depot. And I did put out a short that said that if you want to use construction material, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you do use it with an artist grade medium to prevent any kind of cracking, any kind of lifting. Now these materials, there are certain materials that have more flexibility than others, like compound mixture versus plaster. I'm not a construction builder or anything like that, but artist materials are made for this. And the second time around that I do this, and I will do this, I'm going to leave all of those materials completely out of this and just go with the modeling paste by itself, because you can combine the soft body modeling paste and the though I guess you could call it more dense hard body modeling paste. I bought them from Golden. You can mix them together to get a little bit more of a lighter mixture. And so there's a thought right there. Do try to use, and I'm not getting paid to say this, but I'm thinking of the archival value of these pieces. And because this is an experiment, I still took steps to ensure that the materials that I added were artist grade included in some of those others. So, I'm just going to leave them out altogether. Yes, they are cheaper, but, the old saying, you get what you pay for, mostly. Okay, so with that, I'll just add a few more things. When you're adding your using your staple gun to apply the wire mesh down, you need to staple the very bottom of it, if you can the sides. Now you'll notice that this wire mesh that doesn't go over the sides. I bought a small piece because, like I said, I was more interested in the process than the actual composition. And so you just want to make sure that you do that you tack it down pretty well. And that way you don't have to worry about it pulling up or anything like that. Once you get all of these coats on, I doubt that there's any, there's little chance of that happening. I shouldn't say that really. I really shouldn't say that. Tack it down. Do yourself a favor. Make sure it stays. And any way that seems sensible. You want to use wire mesh that will not rust, and they do make that out there, and that's what I bought from Amazon. And to be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about wire mesh. It's probably because I just felt so clumsy doing this, but I know that there's people, like I said, they make beautiful pieces, and maybe one day I will too, once I get through this piece right here. So I'll let you watch for a little bit before I chime in again. Okay, so it's the next day here, and now you see me taking a completely different approach here. Um, I've let the first coat dry for 24 hours, and now I'm applying the mixture, and I'm using only hard body paste here. The dense paste, not mixed with the soft body, not mixed with anything, just by itself. And I'm taking a damp brush here and there to get in between the very narrow cracks, to get the modeling paste in there, because I can't with my fingers, and to smooth it out at the same time. So the summary is really this, is I'm applying the modeling paste with my hands, because now there's no wires sticking out, and I'm not worried so much about hurting my hands through these thin plastic gloves. And after I apply the paste, I take a damp brush, a soft damp brush, not, like I said, not too damp. I'm not dipping the brush in there except this small one. I also failed to mention something important. I have a big tub of modeling paste, and I take out what I think I'll need, and I put it in a smaller plastic tub, and the takeout ones that you get from the restaurants. And if I do get a little water in there, I make sure that I use it all so that it doesn't contaminate an entire bin of it, let's say. So I'm not too concerned about getting a little bit of water in there. Anyway, moving on. So once I get this all over the entire piece, I'm trying to make the coat as thin as I can, and by achieving that, I can use the brush for that. The brush will smooth it out, it will take off some excess and move it onto other parts of the piece. And I really like I like how it's starting to take shape, and I'm already starting to think in my mind, wow, what can I do with this besides make it maybe spray paint it and make a piece of abstract art, or something beautiful like that. Do I want to paint it? Do I want to make trees out of this? Do I want to make some gently rolling waves. There's lots of things going in my mind now that I see something taking shape here, and that is the best part about this, is if you have something in mind, an idea, you know, that's the best way to start. But with this, since it was an experiment, I really wasn't too concerned. And now that it's taking shape, I'm starting to get ideas, and that's really exciting for any artist. So that'll be interesting to see where I go with this. In the meantime, I have these sides to contend with, and they are a mess. I have to be honest. Look at that. Now I'm applying the modeling paste over it as best that I can. I'll try to fill in and make it as smooth as I can, but I will be able to sand this when I'm done. So I'm not going to worry too much about the sides. I'll do the best that I can. More importantly, now going forward on the next piece that I do, I'll be a lot more conscientious of it so that I have nice smooth sides. I will be able to sand this, and that's also something to consider, that with yet another coat. And again, I don't want to make each coat overly thick. If I have to, it's best to let it dry and put another coat over it instead of applying a coat that's just much too thick and then sanding it down. Next time I'll be a lot more conscientious of the sides. And as I move along, I will find a way to make the sides aesthetically pleasing. I'm sure of that. I should say I'm hopeful of that. As you see coming up, look at these sides. They are a mess. I'm going to apply the modeling paste. I did forget to do the side on the first pass, and so I'm doing it now, and that's okay. I didn't hurt it or anything like that by forgetting that. And just moving along here, getting as much excess off as I can before I go ahead today and apply the second coat. Stay tuned. Okay, here we go. Let's start. So in this mixture, what I did, I changed things up. As what I originally thought I would do was just use the regular, more heavy-bodied modeling paste, but I decided to mix the both golden browns, soft-bodied modeling paste with the harder, more dense-bodied modeling paste. I mixed them together, sorry, and I added some titanium white acrylic paint. And I got this really smooth, creamy mixture, and it went on very nicely. So I began mixing it with my gloved hands, and it went on really well. I used, after I did that, I used a damp brush to smooth it out. Now there's some parts in here that I just can't get my fingers into, so I was forced to use a small brush to get the mixture into those hard to reach crevices. And the whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking to myself, what do I want this to be? What do I want this to be? I really like this mixture a lot. I was so happy with the way it felt under my hands and applying it. It's just the perfect consistency, I think, and I'm very curious to see, do I even really need to sand it? Well, I want to sand it. It depends what I'm going to make out of it. Will I make, I showed it to my husband when I was done, and he said, well, definitely trees. But there's a part on there that, to me, doesn't really look like a tree, but I don't know, maybe I could make it look like one. But I said, well, what do you think about some soft rolling waves? He goes, no, I definitely like the trees. Well, you know what? Let's see what happens. In the meantime, let's get this mixture on. There's no sense in me belaboring, with more of a, talking. I'll put some music on and let you watch it. And if I feel like I need to chime in at any point, I will. I did do the sides. As I said before, I really hate the sides, trying to cover them as much as I can. But I really made a mistake by not smoothing down that plaster cloth. You know, it's really for casts, I think, honestly. But anyway, it's okay. It's going to work out. I just know it. I just know it will. I'm very earnest about this now at this point because I can see that this is going to be an interesting piece, regardless of which way I go. And the weight of it is substantial, but not too heavy. You can hang this. I mean, you can hang anything really, you know, but I was worried that it was just going to be too heavy, and I can see that that's not going to be the case. So as I'm doing this, you know, your mind goes and you're thinking, well, okay, what can I do to those sides? Maybe I can, you know, nail in a piece of wood on the sides. Maybe I can just frame it. Maybe, who knows? Let's see what happens. Let's see, you know, that's what's so great about this stuff is you can really take this anywhere you want it to go. It's going to be real fun. I wish I had something to show you now, but I really am hoping that this is the last coat, that I'm happy with it. And, yeah, we'll find out soon. So thanks for watching again. Stay tuned, and I'll be back again. And hopefully with, you know, well, you'll be watching me work on a finished product, and we can finish this. Thanks, guys. Before I go, I just want to let you know that in the description, I will put in detail all the materials that I've used, the ratios that I used, how I mixed them, and so you know you won't be left without that information. Okay, have a great day, everyone. Bye bye. Okay, here we go, another day. Here I am sanding it, trying different strengths. Now, one thing with sanding, be careful. I had a little bit of a heavy hand here. With sandpaper, as you'll see in the captions, you know, what I've put in as far as text is that the higher, and you probably know this, but you know, just in case you don't, the higher up you go when you look at the back of the sandpaper, the higher the number, the finer the grit. The lower the number, the more rough grit that it is. And I might have gone a little bit too low on some of the sandpaper, but I knew I was going to be applying at least 2 more coats. I'm trying to get away with 1 more because I'm very anxious to start this piece. So as it turned out, once I got done with all the sanding and brushing off the, you know, the dust, etc., I was fortunate enough to only need 1 more coat, and what I did was I mixed the soft body molding paste, gesso, and titanium white paint, and that was all I did. I did not add anything else to it. I'm not going to sand it because I liked how it came out. I like the unsanded version. If I do decide to change my mind, I'm going to go very, very fine grit. But I think this thing is ready for me to do something with it. And I'm going to get started in probably about 72 hours because I really want this to have time to cure with everything I've done with it. And so you're going to see the results coming up of the end of part 1 of a piece that I can now begin to create some kind of composition on here, and I just need to think about it. So let's see what happens. Stay tuned, everyone. Stay to the end. It's coming up, and you'll see me in part 2 once I've decided what I'm going to make out of this. Have a great day, and thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.